He's obviously suffering the signs of aging. Father time, is undefeated. This has obviously caught up with him. And look, let's be clear. This crisis, other than some poor risk management, this bank is 100% his doing. We are in an inflation super cycle directly because of this administration's policies. Excess spending in the form of additional stimulus, which wasn't really needed, extending, second round of PPP, last round of stimulus checks, paying people to stay at home until late into 2021. Combined with excess regulation, a war on fossil fuels, literally driving the cost of everything higher, incompetence at the Department of Transportation, and then two massive pieces of legislation. You have this nonsense infrastructure bill and the Green New Deal, also known as the Inflation Reduction Act. The reason why interest rates have skyrocketed and we are in this problem is because this administration is devoid of reality. They're devoid of basic economics. And now we have a massive banking calamity on our hands.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yep. Republican President
Joe Biden decides not to run. Usually the VP fills that slot. A lot of Democrats would say, please, no, not Kamala.
Well, you know what? It's even more than that, because remember, Elizabeth Warren ran for president herself, Michael, and you could imagine all of those candidates who were up on that stage during primary season who wanted the job, and they're looking at Kamala Harris. She got the VP place. Amy Klobuchar would have liked it. Elizabeth Warren would have liked it. And then they see Kamala, and what has she accomplished?
Yeah, Maria, it's just like I'll never stop being surprised at how fragile some of these mainline politicians are and how easily their feelings get hurt, which is insane if you think about it. But, I mean, look at Adam Kinzinger. Trump didn't make him the head of the Air Force like he thought he deserved, and look at where the deep end he went off. So it never seemed to get surprised.
Well, maybe he should have been more honest. See that he makes decisions based on elections and, says things just based on holding on to power. Our Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, claims we should learn from China when it comes to energy. The Energy Department has proposed, new efficiency standards with washing machines. They are requiring washing machines to use less water. They claim that's going to combat climate change. But manufacturers like Whirlpool are warning that the proposal would make each cycle longer. It'll make detergent costlier, and it'll make the clothes less clean. Michael?
Maria, this is the perfect metaphor for the entire administration. It's built upon a lie that somehow we're in this climate crisis. Okay, over the last 100 years, deaths due to climate-related accidents and disasters is down 98%. Yet somehow it's an existential threat. I mean, their energy policy and the insanity of it is causing disasters everywhere, not only from the inflation, which I believe led to the failure of Silicon Valley Bank and the bank runs we're seeing across America, okay, as well as the war with Russia. Okay, the only way to combat Russia against Ukraine is to collapse the price of oil and natural gas. This administration would much rather give in to these green whack jobs than to solve actual problems and improve the lives of Americans. Okay, it is beyond insane, the things that they've done, and hearing that you got to change your washing machine because it might use a little less water for this cycle or for that cycle. It's more of the same insanity that's ruining our country right in front of our eyes.
And this is likely if they have all this stuff on him, that he's accepted all this money. And what were they paying for? What were they paying for by giving Hunter Biden tens of millions of dollars and Hunter going ahead and paying the bills for the family?
Maria, it's been obvious Joe Biden has been selling influence since the day he showed up in Washington. And this is not small, run-of-the-mill stuff. The stakes got bigger and bigger. All this money is coming from the Chinese Communist Party as he's in charge of China policy. And the Chinese Communist Party militarizes the South China Sea while his son is making tens of millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party. And it's, one other thing on Jamie Raskin. Why do the Democrats spend what legislative purpose could there possibly be SVB for spending 4 years trying to get Donald Trump's tax returns just to leak them to the press. What was the legislative purpose of that? Like again, if it wasn't for double standards, the left would have no standards at all. So it's
I mean, it makes me question. Elevated still. We've got a Fed meeting next week where we're likely going to see another rate hike. And we've got a lag effect of that huge move. I mean, Stephanie called it a shock. We've gone from 0 to 4.5% in a hurry. It's not even a year yet. That anniversary is next week.
Yeah, Maria, I think what the market is saying right now is that while this core number month over month was a little bit hotter, it's not enough for the Fed to do 50 or for the Fed to set off on the path that they were prior to the Silicon Valley Bank disaster. And so the market is eagerly awaiting this pivot. They are continually going along and fighting Jay Powell, fighting the Fed, and equities in particular believe that Powell will give in and that at some point we're going to get this pivot. Otherwise, how are you out here trading at 18, 19 times earnings while earnings are declining, the economy is slowing, and rates are still rising in a lot of situations? So I don't know that I'm buying this equity rally. It's a little bit mystifying. I think it shows there's still way too much liquidity out there to get inflation under control. And while people are out there celebrating 6% year over year, or 5.5% on core, or 0.5% month over month, we're still 2 to 3 times of where we need to be. And so without a dramatic economic slowdown or the Fed getting much tighter than I believe the market thinks, inflation is here to stay, and that is not good news.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand those investors. What are your thoughts as we watch crypto go higher again today?
Well, look, you have Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell saying they're going to backstop all deposits. Right, the deposits in the banking system right now over 250,000 are close to 10 trillion. How on earth are they going to backstop $10 trillion worth of deposits? And you have so-called really high-level banks like Silicon Valley, like First Republic, like Signature Banks going under. A lot of people out there are saying, you're just going to have to print more money. If you can take an asset that's worth 65 or 70 cents to the window and get a full dollar for it, okay, to give cash to your depositors, you're in a sense just printing more fake money. And that is what I believe is behind this move in Bitcoin, because you're kind of seeing the destruction of our fiat currency. And so if you're in the camp that fiat currency is being destroyed because we're just going to keep printing and printing and printing and printing, that is your bull case for Bitcoin. I think gold, if you get a little bit more momentum here, I think both these assets could finally work. But that is what's going on with Bitcoin, and you're up substantially off the lows from just not too long ago, from 16,000 up to 25, 26 now.
Well, it's good to see the bank stabilizing today. The major